Shalom, Kahalalim, La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rucha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS that rule well, who I learned this truth from. And salutations and blessings unto you elect out there, 144,000, and the rest of the 1/3. All right. Yeah, this is a lesson. Just gonna go into some history. And what I wanted to do was go to this website that I've used before for many years, which it has bones, it has false information, but it has a lot of true information as well, right? And I'm sure various brothers have used this website as well. The name of it is called realhistory.ww.com, right? But when you go on it, right, when you go on any of the links, it brings up an error, and I ask other brothers to go on it and to see if a similar thing happened to them, which they said it had. So they cut this site off for the time being. We don't know if it's indefinite, but this site had a lot of information on medieval times, its so-called dark ages, right? So I wanted to bring out this word because we always go into history, right? We always use this word, the word history, right? The word history, relation of incidents, true or false, true or false, from Old French, histoire, meaning story, chronicle, history. From Latin historia, meaning a narrative of past events, account, a tale, a story. From Greek historia, a learning or knowing by inquiry, an account of one's inquiries, knowledge, account, historical account, record, narrative. From historian, be witness or expert, give testimony to recount. So it's supposed to be the truth. You're supposed to recount what really happened, find out, search, inquire, and histor, knowing, right? Expert, witness. So witness sees what's actually there. And from the root, meaning to see, hence to know. So it's supposed to be the truth, but as you see here, the first definition is relation of incidents, true or false. And you have much false information in the world because the devil's job, right? The dragon, right? The beast, when they came up from the Renaissance, their job was to what? To deceive the whole earth in multiple ways, not just one way, right? Not just the way of deceiving people what medicine is, right? From natural to petrol, not just deceiving, people into believing your financial system, your world dollar, your world reserve, your petrol dollar, right? It also includes history, of course. Much deceiving there, So I'm gonna just scroll through pictures, and Lord's will, you'll be edified. I just wanted to do this because while this is here, we got to bring it out. This is a Edward VI on a silver sixpence. There were at least 4 different coin issues during the brief 6-year reign of Edward VI. Right, and you can clearly see, why is it not zooming in? Hold on. That's not letting me zoom in. But anyway, you could see that that's a Jake. Right, I'm just gonna keep scrolling. This is Duke Friedrich the Eighth of Saxony, 1625. Okay, now this is Henry Lord Darnley, and this is actually King James's father, King James the Sixth of Scotland and the First of England. And I typed in his name as well. So here, Henry Lord Darnley was the second husband of Mary, Queen of Scots, which she was a so-called black woman, what you would say today, and the father of James VI of Scotland and First of England. Now, when you go to the images of this person, here you have the real image, the one I just showed, but also you have, as you see, a lot of Renaissance, blue eyes. Here you can see, right, he has curly hair, right? That's a Jake, man. But then as you go down, you got these pictures. He doesn't have curly hair here. He has straight hair, more straighter hair. right? So you can see the Renaissance as well. So you got to compare this with this image, all right? This is a coat of arm, Morrison. And this is Morrison, which Morrison, when you see that name, it's still used today. Morrison means son of Moor, right? Son of the Moors, Negroes in coat of arms of noble families. Morrison of Preston Grange. Preston Grange or Preston Grange. That's a place in the UK, all right? I'm not sure if it's on the, on the Scottish border or the so-called England, but as you see, Morrison of Preston Grange. This is fencing. It's from a book, right? Medieval times, as you see. So Jake, Jake was showing he saw so many things, man, and it went up until late periods of time, right, where a lot of things are covered up. You know, Jake was showing all the arts, all the different crafts, all the knowledge, and that's an Israelite thing, fencing. Today, you got Esau, the elites. Like I remember watching James Bond from the 90s with what's that guy's name? Pierce Bronson. And I forget which one it was, but he had that British Edomite. He was fencing and he was all into it, and and that's an Edomite thing. Like kids that go to elite schools, the elite's children, they'll have fencing in their physical education program. You know what I'm saying? Because it teaches a lot, man. It teaches combat, it teaches footwork, it teaches timing and strategy and thinking. That's why Bruce Lee was into fencing. Bruce Lee pretty much his whole system of martial arts that's called Jeet Kune Do, right, which means the way of the intercepting fist, right? His whole mentality was, while you're punching me, I'm going to intercept that punch, and not only intercept it, I'm going to try to hit you, so it's like a defense and attack in one. But he utilized fencing footwork, so that Jeet Kune Do, that fast on your toes, bouncing back and forth and then shuffling, a lot of it is influenced from fencing, and also from the French martial art. It's skipping my mind right now. Savate, which is a French, which that was Jake anyway. That was just French boxing, Savate, right? But this is all you can see, right? This is here fencing. This is with sickles, but same thing, man. The footwork, you see the same footwork, man. All right. When you're attacking, you stretch forward, and then when you're loose and you're moving around, you're on your toes. The hand blocks and the attacks and strikes, the sword attacks and strikes, right? So this is another coat of arms, and this is a Norman and his lady, a Norman knight, and that's a Benjaminite right there. That's a Benjaminite, because a lot of the Normans were Benjamites, But as you see, all kinds of Moors, and you have a knight down there, right, with the full helmet and everything, man. So those were all Israelites. Those were all Jakes. Another medieval painting of a castle, right, of dark-skinned people. This is the Alfama district. View of a square with the King's Fountain in Lisbon. That's Portugal, I believe, right? So a lot of Moors. Of course, you had Esau. You had a whole mixture, man. Right? You had a whole mixture of people during this time. And you have to remember, whenever you brothers are digging into this time period, color was not regarded as the same as it is today. All right, the law of color, the perception of color, the judgment of color, like all those different things, it wasn't the same as it is today. Okay, you had more status, lineage, those things mattered more so. Okay, this is a German knight, Saxe Coburg, all right, Gotha, And this is a king as well. This is in a different language, right? One of those, maybe German, Bavaria, those different languages. Those are all Israelites in those areas. You had Israelites in the army. You had Israelites as royalty, high positions as kings. right? Pretty much this was the time where you Jakes, you were you were in control, but you were wicked, right? You were off. The Moors of Yorkshire, see, British families, the Moors of Yorkshire, Sir, including Sir Thomas More, More, Chancellor of Henry VIII, Yorkshire Genealogist, Volume 2, page 78. The others are from Fairbairn's Book of Crests, Fox Davies' Armorial Families, and Elwin's Book of Crests. Now, that book, Fairbairn's, as you see down here, Fairbairn's Book of Crests is where a lot of these type of icons, these coat of arms, that this page specifically is from a book titled Nature Knows No Color Line, right? I can recognize it because I had the book. I don't have it anymore. But that book got a lot of its coat of arms from that book down there, Fairbairn's Book of Crest. Now that book, Fairbairn's Book of Crest, the old one, you can't even get it. You can't take it out of the library. You have to be either a senator or a professor. There's a library in Toronto downtown called it's at Yonge and Bloor, right? It's right at Yonge and Bloor. It's the public library, and we used to meet up there before camp years ago, like over 10 years, like 12, 13 years ago, even longer, like 14. And then we would do lessons and do our own lessons, not even like on camera, just edify ourselves and build up ourselves and do lessons and breakdowns, and then we do lessons on the camera. And one day we went looking for that book, Fairbairn's Book of Crest. This must have been like 2010, 2011. And the person said, yeah, we have that book here, but you can't pull it. You need to be a professor. That's what they told us. So a lot of those books, they're not just gonna pull, they're not just gonna show. But guess what? We're in the end time. So a lot of these images that you see, a lot of these coat of arms and different icons and images, they're coming out, man, because we're in the end times. There's no more hiding the truth. All right, everything is being brought out. All right, this is in France. All right, this is in France as well. Now, as you see, this guy, they they have a term called iconoclasm, which with chemical process they can bleach the skin, make it lighter. But in the back, you see the people are dark. All right. All right, Israelites again, musical instruments. So this was the time period that the scholars call Byzantine. But Byzantine really means backwards. And, they tried to pretty much demonize this time period, but only because these Edomites, for the most part, you were low, man. You were with the worms. You know what I mean? You were a dust was the serpent's meat at that time, meaning confusion. You were pretty much, you know, there's all musical notes down there. You were in a state of confusion, man. You were at the bottom. So this is a time period that, again, when the scholars say Byzantine, they also agreed upon that it lasted around 1,000 years, which is something that brothers should pick up because that's prophecy. So a lot of these history guys that we go into as well, or we watch, there's a lot of different history people now going on YouTube and bringing out truth. But some of them are off because they don't filter things through the scriptures. But it's still a blessing because they'll bring out information that's not so common, right? And you can't find it. So yeah, they'll bring out information that is edifying, but then they'll bring out bones, and it's up to you, brothers. You have to filter it. You can't just watch somebody and say, oh yeah, he brings out facts all the time, but then you're not going to filter things because he's not speaking through the scriptures. A lot of these guys that will say, oh, this person was dark skinned, he was so-called black, what we consider black today. Are they considering that he might be a terror and Edomite? No, they don't have that insight. They don't have that prudence. So you brothers have to use that prudence, because a lot of people in America, for example, I was going to say the Americas, but in America, colonial America, a lot of Israelites were there, still in power. I'm talking about from the British, because King James was in the 1600s, and they came over here, right? They brought a lot of Edomite prisoners as indentured servitudes, but the officers and the higher ups themselves, a lot of them were Israelites, But then through process of time in the Americas, through the history, what happened? You have powerful men that may have had so-called black skin, but they might have been terrorists. But you're gonna bring it out like, oh, look, he was a so-called black man. He was this, he was that. But again, you gotta judge it. You gotta judge true judgment, right? So this is all the medieval times. All these things, these are all medieval manuscripts and icons. All right, this isn't a make believe. Irish coat of arms, family Gilbert Crest. So any brothers have the name Gilbert, right? This is an image of a black Irish coat of arms from the Gilbert family, because brothers say if you have a Edomite last name, right, as a point. But Esau took those names from us. Esau deceived the whole planet, man. Yeah, Esau at the bottom as a wild man. I don't know if that's a Jake woman letting Esau in the family, but that's a wild man. That's Job 30. This is 1565. This is Hours of Etienne Chevalier is one of the most famous and lavishly illuminated manuscripts of the 15th century. It was painted for the treasurer of France by Jean Fouquet, court artist to King Charles VII and Louis XI, who worked not only as a miniaturist but also as a panel painter and scenery designer. And these are all, you can see, dark people, man. Okay. Israelite knight wearing the mail. And that was it, pretty much. So hope you're edified with that. All right, I want to say Kahalalim, La Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Kodash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS, Daruwal, who I learned this truth from, and salutations and blessings unto you elect, 144,001 third. Shalom.